A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. For Jerry of the Circus.
That's right, Central, the police station.
Please, Mr. Platt, won't you let me explain?
I will not. Oh, drat this phone. The police station can't be busy all the time. Hello. Hello, Central. Will you please get me the police station? The line must be crossed.
Honest, Mr. Platt, we weren't going to take nothing.
Yeah? You tell that to the police.
Mr. Platt, I'm with the circus that's just come to town.
That's the toll with Circus is. Always a lot of no-good loafers and hangers
Not
on.
with this circus.
What's that, Central? The line is busy. And it's a nice howdy-do. Can't even get the police when you need them.
Please listen. We had a fire last night. Our props and costumes got burned. I'm just trying to find an old-fashioned vest. We'll pay cash.
What's that you say?
I said we want to buy whatever we can use. We had a fire and...
Yeah, I heard about the fire, all right. But why didn't you say in the first place that you'd pay cash?
Well, I tried to, but you wouldn't let me.
What makes you think I've got something that you can use?
Well, you see, Slats and me, he's one of the clowns, we were shopping around trying to find an old-fashioned vest. We got to talking to Tom here.
So when they said they'd pay for them, I remembered it was old-fashioned things you had in this trunk.
Then when we got out here and found your car was gone, we thought we'd missed you.
That's no excuse for opening trunks that don't belong to you.
Well, I know. It's my fault. I had to hurry, and I just wanted to see if you had anything.
Well, did you find what you wanted?
Well, I don't know yet. We just started when you came in. And...
Well, come on back to the barn. You'll see if there's anything there that you can use. Here, we'll go out the back door.
You won't scold Tom, will you?
Well, maybe I was a trifle hasty. But when I saw you going through my old trunk, I just saw red, that's all. Tom, I want you to get after that potato patch while we're in the barn here. It's a sin the way you put off that weeding.
Right now?
Of course, right now. What do you think?
Well, I kind of hoped that you'd let me go back to the circus with Jerry. He said that I could see the show.
Wasting your time seeing a circus with all the work to be done? I should say not.
Please, Mr. Platt, just this one.
No. Now get to your weeding, Tom. And I don't want to hear any more about it.
Yes, sir. I'm going.
Well, the trunk's already open. Now, what was it you was looking for?
An old-fashioned vest. You know, one of those bright-colored ones.
Sure, I think I've got something like that. You wouldn't want these funny trousers, would you?
Golly, they are funny. Did people really wear things like that?
Yeah, and they were right smart in their day, too.
Say, you wouldn't sell this old red sweater, would you?
What makes you think I wouldn't?
Well, I don't know.
I thought you were looking for old-fashioned things. That sweater's not so old.
I know, but I just happened to think I could sure use it.
Seems mighty funny you'd pick out a sweater big enough for two of you.
Well, you see, Bumps, he's my best friend. He's a clown that does the act with my dog.
I don't want your whole history.
Well, he's big and he needs a sweater. I'd like to get him one, but only got $1.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of wear in that sweater yet.
Yeah, but you're not using it, packed away with these old things.
Listen, kid, you better learn not to poke your nose in other folks' affairs.
Oh, gee, I didn't mean to...
$1, eh? It's not such a bad idea, is there? All right, you can have the sweater. I just as soon get rid of it anyhow. Give me the $1.
Say thanks. Here, just a second now. Where'd I put it? Oh, yeah, here it is. There you are.
Yeah, you can wrap it up in this old paper. May as well keep it wrapped till you give it to him.
That's fine. Bumps will sure be pleased. Now, if we can just find the vest.
Here, this is what I was looking for. How's this?
Say, that's swell. Just the thing.
You like it, huh?
Sure. Golly, imagine finding it here of all places.
Probably couldn't find a vest as good as this anyplace else in Hansburg.
You're dead right. We've been looking all morning.
Seems like it might be worth quite a bit of money, eh?
Oh, you mean... Oh, how much do you want for it?
Well, I guess I could let you have it for $10.
$10? Gee whiz, Slats can't afford $10.
Well, how much were you figuring on paying for it?
Well, I don't know. $1 or $2, I guess.
A couple of bucks. Say, don't make me laugh. The only vest like it in town, and you need it? Why, I'd be a fool to let it go so cheap.
Well, I just know he'd never be able to pay that. I'm awful sorry, but I suppose I may as well...
Here, just a minute there. How much do you think that Slats fellow would fork over for the right vest?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, how about $5, seeing he needs it so bad?
Well, I don't know. I haven't got any more money. Gee whiz, it's not long before matinee time now.
I've got an idea. I got to get down to the station myself, but you take the vest along with you and let the clown see it. If he's willing to pay $5 for it, it's his.
Oh, I don't know what to say, Mr. Platt. I'm afraid he'll think it's too much.
Tom!
Yeah?
Come here. Be quick about it.
I'm coming, Mr. Platt.
I'll send Tom along with you. If that Slats fella doesn't want to pay, Tom can bring the vest home again.
That's your swell.
Well, step on it, Tom. No need to keep me waiting all day.
I'm sorry, Mr. Platt. I was at the other end of the potato patch.
Yeah. Well, I've changed my mind about those potatoes. I want you to go back to the circus with Jerry.
You're going to let me see the circus after all? Oh, gee, that's swell of you, Mr. Platt.
I am not. I didn't say a word about seeing the circus. But I want you to take this vest to that clown. If he comes through with $5, well and good. Otherwise, you bring that vest right back here.
Oh.
And I'm not taking a penny less. Tell him to take it or leave it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And see you get right back here. I want those potatoes weeded before sundown.
Yes, sir.
Well, beat it, both of you. Take Nellie. But remember, no monkey business.
Thanks, Mr. Platt. But I do wish you'd let Tom just see the show.
Listen here, young man. I run things around here, and I don't want any interference. You understand?
Yes, sir. Goodbye, sir.
You get in first, Jerry.
Okay, Tom.
Here we are. All right, Nellie. Come on, old girl.
Say, Tom, if you see Mike down the road with my car, tell him to step on it. He's late.
All right. I'll tell him.
Imagine not letting you see the circus.
Oh, he's just afraid I'll have some fun.
Well, it's a shame if you ask me. And it wouldn't even cost him anything. Would you be afraid to stay and see part of the show?
I'd better not, especially if Slats won't pay $5 for that vest. The old man will be plenty sore.
$5. It's highway robbery, if you ask me. Say, that reminds me. Look, I bought this sweater off of him. Ever see it before?
Yeah, once when we were cleaning things up. I asked him to let me wear it. It was kind of cold. And boy, he nearly had a fit.
He did? Why?
Well, I don't know. Said he'd better not catch me wearing that sweater. But, well, he never wore it himself.
This sweater reminds me of a story a friend of mine called Spikeman told me.
Yeah? What was it?
Well, I can't tell you right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if you'd hear about it sooner or later. Say, Tom.
Yeah?
What are Mr. Platt's hours? When's he home and when's he at the baggage station?
Well, he's there during the day, kind of irregular. You see, he's got help then.
Well, what about nights?
Well, he's always at the station from 11 to 3 in the morning.
Yeah? Well, let's forget him. I'll tell you one thing. Even if he can't catch the show, you're going to see the animals and meet all the folks.
I am?
Sure thing. I'll introduce you to some of the clowns and...
Gee, you're swell, Jerry.
Hey, listen. You forgot I dreamed of joining up with a circus for a long time before I actually did. I guess I know what it means to want to meet folks.
You got lots of animals over there?
Well, one of the best animal shows on the road.
Get out there, Nellie. Come on. Go on, no loitering this time. We're heading for the circus.
There we are. See the tents right around this bend? Here, Tom. Drive right up this way. It'll take us in past the mess tent, and we can get in the back way.
Sure thing. Here, Nellie. Come on, you old girl.
Kind of rough riding, but we get used to it.
Looks like you've been here a week. Everything's so quiet and nice.
And here, you better stop here.
Whoa there, Nellie. Whoa.
Come on, Slats will probably be over at Clown Alley.
Where's that?
That's where the clowns dress. And wait for their acts to go on.
Here, you forgot your package.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's a red sweater for Bumps. Nellie will be all right here. Leave her right there.
Say, this is exciting.
Here, slip in this way. It's quicker. Everyone's pretty busy today, either getting their own things fixed or helping someone else. Hey, where's Slats?
Who's calling me?
It's me, Jerry.
Oh, hello there, Jerry. Around here.
Come on, Tom, this way.
Well, hello there. Any luck?
Well, I don't know whether it'll do you any good, but we got a vest all right.
You did good. Let me see it.
Show it to him, Tom.
Hey, this is dandy. Great stuff. Jerry, you're a wonder. I guess that's about as good as Granddad's. Of course, it won't be the same, but I guess I can learn to like this one.
Yeah, but there's a catch to it.
What do you mean?
The man who owns this wants $5 for it.
5? You're kidding.
He asked 10 for it at first.
What?
Yeah. I just told him we couldn't pay that, and then I started to go, and he pretended he'd let it go cheap for 5.
Why, the old skinflint. He knew we wanted it and wouldn't find another, so he's holding us up, huh?
I'm sorry, Mr. Slats, but he said if you wouldn't pay, that I'd have to bring the vest right back.
Well, does that burn me up? I sure hate folks who take advantage of you. Okay, I'll pay it, but it's a dirty trick.
You will?
Sure, show's got to go on, and if I can find the right stuff, I got to have it. After all, it's my stock and trade.
Say, Slats, do me a favor?
Of course I will. What's on your mind?
Well, I gotta go see Bumps. Will you show Tom around and let him meet the folks and see the animals and everything? His boss isn't going to let him see the show, and I want...
Anybody seen Bumps?
Say, there's Jason. Tom, you go with Slats. Jason!
I'll take care of Tom and see you back here later.
Hi there, Jerry. You seen Bumps?
Well, I'm looking for him myself. Say, I gotta talk to you, and Bumps quick. First, I want you to meet Tom. Tom, this is Jason. He's the greatest lion tamer in the business.
Gee, I'm sure glad to meet you, Mr. Jason.
Well, we'll be back, Tom, but Jason and I have got something important. We'll be seeing you.
Okay.
Come on, Jason, quick.
Well, Jerry, what's all the excitement?
Well, Jason, you remember how Spike was sent up to jail for a robbery he didn't do?
Well, that's right. It happened in this town.
Yeah. Well, I found a red sweater tucked away with a lot of things in the barn belonging to the boss he worked for.
But what's a red sweater got to do with it?
Spike lost his sweater the night of the robbery. It was red, and, well, the man who did the robbery wore a red sweater.
Well, there are lots of red sweaters in this world.
Yeah, but there's something funny about this man Platt.
Well, was that the name of his boss?
Yep. And you remember there were a lot of bonds that couldn't be cashed for several years?
Yeah, and they never were found, were they?
Nope. But if Platt has them, I'm going to find them. I'm going out there tonight and go through his whole house and barn.
Now, listen, Jerry, you can't do that. Why, that's dangerous.
Well, I don't care. For Spike, I'd risk almost anything.
The psalmist said, "When I awake, I am still with thee." For the child of God, Seeking the presence of the Lord is essential as each day begins. To help you in starting this day with God, we offer a brief devotional meditation from morning and evening, a collection from the pen of one of the greatest preachers of all time, Charles Haddon Spurgeon. This morning's text is found in Psalm 92 and verse 4. Thou, Lord, hast made me glad through thy work. Do you believe that your sins are forgiven and that Christ has made a full atonement for them? Then what a joyful Christian you ought to be! How you should live above the common trials and troubles of the world. Since sin is forgiven, can it matter what happens to you now? Luther said, Smite, Lord, smite, for my sin is forgiven. If thou hast but forgiven me, smite as hard as thou wilt. And in a similar spirit you may say, Send sickness, poverty, losses, crosses, persecution, what thou wilt, thou hast forgiven me, and my soul is glad. Christian, if thou art thus saved, whilst thou art glad, be grateful and loving. Cling to that cross which took thy sin away. Serve thou him who served thee. I beseech you therefore by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Let not your zeal evaporate in some little song. Show your love in expressive tokens. Love the brethren of him who loved you. If there be a Mephibosheth anywhere who is lame or halt, help him for Jonathan's sake. If there be a poor tried believer, weep with him, and bear his cross, for the sake of him who wept for thee, and carried thy sins. Since thou art thus forgiven freely, for Christ's sake, go and tell to others the joyful news of pardoning mercy. Be not contented with this unspeakable blessing for thyself alone, but publish abroad the story of the cross. Holy gladness and holy boldness will make you a good preacher, and all the world will be a pulpit for you to preach in. Cheerful holiness is the most forcible of sermons, but the Lord must give it to you. Seek it this morning before you go into the world. When it is the Lord's work in which we rejoice, we need not be afraid of being too glad. This meditation was taken from Morning and Evening by C.H. Spurgeon. Please listen each morning at this same time for Morning and Evening.
The greatest story ever told. Presented by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Today we present The Man Who Was Not Humble, a drama inspired by an event set forth in the 9th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Matthew. An event from the greatest life ever lived. As the town of Emmaus in Galilee settles down to the peace and quiet of another evening, there is one house to which not peace, but great uneasiness has come. It is the poor, modest house of the blind man, Michael. Even now his wife, Anna, is not at her fire cooking the evening meal. Instead, she stands in the doorway, anxiously fingering her apron and staring down the narrow street where the darkness is settling. Now, once again, she turns to the boy who stands beside her and says,
I knew Benjamin right. I had no right to let him go out alone. I wanted to go with him as on every other day, but I wouldn't let him. There were stories today. There were stories. Imagine his insisting bad and bones. Perhaps I should go looking for him again. Carefully look. We've covered the town from one end to the other. Oh, we shouldn't have let him go. We shouldn't. I tell you, only the worst could have kept him away so long. Please, Mother, if anything had happened, wouldn't someone have come and told us? Who knows? I'll never forgive myself now. Mother, what is it then? Look. He's there at the end of the street. Yes? What man? No, what is it? Don't you recognize him? It's Father. I'll run and meet him and lead him to the house. Oh, Benjamin, it's not your father. But look. He's a man who resembles your father. The same ragged cloak. Even the same size and appearance. I tell you it is, Father. So that man feels his way to the plain. Does he talk along as your father does? No. Never is. But look, it is, Father. It is. Can't see. That man is not blind. It is your father. And you can actually see. Michael! Oh, Michael! Michael, what is it that happened? Let me see your eyes. Yes. Yes, there is light in them. They see. They see.
Yes, Anna, they see. But say no more. Not now.
What do you mean, say no more? The greatest of all things has happened to you, to us, and you would ask me to be scared? No, I would cry it out to all the town, to all of Galilee.
No, Anna. No word. Nothing. Come, we must hurry back to the house.
Yes, Michael. But we are so strong. Come, let's return to the house. Father, the stick which you could stop your way along it. Where is it?
I threw it away. Far outside the town. I shall never have to use it again.
Michael, please, I must ask. What happened? Where? How?
Annie, much as I would like to tell you, I can't. I can't.
Oh, my goodness. Where's the house now?
And this is the house. This is how it was. All the walls where the water bugs hang. For many times I walked along this wall till I found them. And there was a table on which I hurt my leg when I stopped to move too quickly in my darkness.
Oh, listen. Michael, I was close behind our door. No one else can hear. Tell us now.
I can tell you nothing.
Why? You haven't been to see the witches in here. Was it a witch situation? You know the penitent that nothing would listen.
It was no good.
Then it's tried you refuse to tell us. What harm can befall you?
I will tell you only that it happened and that I am forbidden to talk. Also, there's one thing more. I have made a promise.
You made a promise?
Yes. In the days of my darkness, Simeon used to stand beside me at the town gate and beg. So that day when the Roman chariots were loading down and killed him. Well, Anna, this I promise. Of all that I earn, 1/3 shall go to support Simeon's wife and children. It's what I must to do in repayment for this great thing which has happened to me. I have made such a promise to God.
And why? But in what way did this happen? That will tell us.
I'm sorry, Anna. I can't.
But why?
I can't. That's all.
Michael, is it you standing there in the doorway beside us?
Yes, madam.
Why do you stand there in the doorway in the middle of the night?
You forget. I've never known what men meant when they spoke of the blue night sky, or the twinkling stars, or the light of the moon.
Oh, my God. You have never known.
Are there always so many stars?
Sometimes there seems to be even more.
And the moon, is it always so bright?
Yes, there's a pale moon tonight. Sometimes, depending on the season, it's brighter and redder, larger and something.
All these things I see as each day goes and each night comes. Isn't there so much to see?
Uncle, can't you tell me what happened? Huh?
I'm thirsty to tell you, but I can't.
Your blindness allowed me to say it. But now that you can see, now that this great thing is happening to you, you set me up. I don't understand.
Please, Anna. Okay, please. All right, I will tell you.
There can be no harm.
Well, it happened this way. There was a two of us.
Hmm?
Gabriel. Yes. We were far outside the town, sitting around a kind of monster. On the long road, we found him. A rather nothing there. And we cried out to him. Yes, I cried out to him, saying, "Thou son of David, have mercy on us. Have mercy, Master, for we are blind and cannot see. Heal us that we may see, and seeing be able to do more for the glory of God." Believe me that I am able to do this. Yea, Lord, according to your faith, do it unto you. Master, I took my eyes, and behold, I can see. I can see. Oh, Master, I shall sing your praises to the whole world. Everyone that I was thankful you have done for us. See that no man knows this.
Because that sometimes you couldn't tell me.
Yes, Anna, that's all. Well, as I told it to you, there seems to be no harm in it.
No. Unless, of course, the master doesn't wish to be troubled by others who will seek after him to be healed.
Oh, no, Anna. It was not true. If you'd heard him as I did, you wouldn't say that. His voice was full of kindness. The mere sound of it comforted him. His touch is the touch of God. And when my eyes were opened and able to see, I looked upon his face, and the kindness which was there was greater than anything I had ever imagined. Oh, no, he would not withhold his healing for anyone with true-facing countenance. It couldn't have been me.
Then why would you have asked if you tell me?
I don't know. And now that I've told you, it seems there can be no harm in telling. And that's your better now that I have told you. And tomorrow, first thing, I must go to see Simeon's widow. I must begin to carry out the promise of charity that I made to show my thankfulness to God. You seem surprised to see me, my dear.
There I am. 20 years I've been used to hearing your tapping sound, and your footsteps were much slower. Now your steps are rapid, and when you opened the door, I hadn't expected it to be you. I was getting used to the fact that things were all changed now.
Yes, indeed you must.
Well, what did things would I say? She must have cried when she saw you. Or did she say what a pity it was that Simeon couldn't have lived long enough to be cured? Well, Martha, what did she say?
It was in 1,000.
I should have known. But when you gave the time, you couldn't see.
No. And I try to understand. I did set out to see her, just as I promised that I would. It's just that I never arrived there.
You never arrived there? You couldn't find the house?
It wasn't my fault. They wouldn't let me.
Who wouldn't let you?
You have to understand, Anna, that this is no small thing that has happened to me. It is a great miracle. Everyone is excited, curious, insistent upon knowing. Why, they surrounded me in the marketplace and kept asking me questions. They just wouldn't let me go.
I suppose
So naturally, I had to tell them. They weren't satisfied merely with their brief recounting. They insisted on knowing every little detail about the master, about what I said, what I did, how I felt.
It's a good curious if I knew.
Well, I didn't realize how much time had gone by. How tiring it was to talk so much. You see, as I kept talking, more people came by, and they too stopped, and I had to repeat parts of the story. It went on a long time.
I can understand.
Finally, I couldn't tear myself away from them, but I was so tired I decided to come back here. And on the way back, I realized that I hadn't been deceased from the individual. Now I stopped. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Of course, by then it was too late. I could go tomorrow.
Of course, Michael. So let's rest now. This new life can be very difficult for you.
Yes, it's quite a responsibility I have now. The one who is being healed by the master.
Michael.
Yes?
I keep wondering. What the master said.
What?
It was a terrible moment.
Oh, what harm can it do? I bring glory to his name. It is Jesus. It was only right that people should know of his great work. So they too will have faith.
If you wanted that, would you have told him not to tell me?
See here, Anna, you were the one who asked me to tell in the first place. Why do you say now that it's wrong?
I didn't say it was wrong. I just didn't know. I feel strangely about this matter. Besides.
Heavens, dear Anna. It may yet turn out to be a good thing for us.
A good thing?
Yes. You'd be surprised how important a man your husband has become. Really.
Michael, you promised that today you would go to some Simeon's widow.
I will. What night, sir?
How do you make it imagine, Michael? I was only reminding you. More than a week has gone by.
Wouldn't I have gone if I had the chance? There happens I do have the chance. So I will go.
Robert, I didn't want to bring him here, but he insisted. And look what he gave me.
There's a card. Well,
he's waiting outside now. He wants to hear everything that happened.
And who is he?
A rich merchant in Judea. He was journeying through Emmaus and somebody told him about you, so he wanted to come here. I said you were tired of talking about it, but he insisted. And he gave me this coin to bring into the house, so I did.
Have you known?
Sir, and Father says it's all right. Come in.
Well, so you are the blind man who can see,
Yes.
Yes. And welcome to my house.
Thank you.
This thing I heard so excited my imagination that I had to go to your lips. I had to know every detail. So when I return to Judea, I can tell everyone in Bethlehem. So I will do your story. Well, where shall I begin? Shall I tell you the hardship of being blind, of living in darkness? Shall I try to acquaint you with the stumbling, halting life it is? No. No one but I could ever understand that. So I will tell you merely that I was a blind man. And I believed with all my heart that the master could help me. And I decided... There were two of you, weren't there? Yes, very good there was with me, but I did all the talking. I see. To be perfectly frank, I had the idea in the first place. Indeed. Yes. And when we were in his presence, I called out to him. I was the one who said, "Thou son of David, have mercy on us." And then what happened? I went toward him, not being able to see him, who was still able to beg him. Yes, I must admit that I do have a sort of seventh sense about such things. I can feel the presence of people, even in my blindness. I was able to go near them. Oh, remarkable. And then I said, what would the master say? Oh, the master. Well, he said something about whether we really believed in him, believed that he had the power to heal us, and then I said to him, "Yea, Lord." Do you understand what that meant? I mean the very choice of words. It was not something I dismissed lightly. Those words I selected with the greatest of care. I said not merely, "Yes, I think so," but "Yea, Lord. Well-considered words, sir. Indeed they were. I'm not a man given to random or idle statements, not I. Of course, the reply the master made proved how well chosen my words were. What did he say? He touched my eyes and he said, according to your faith, be it unto you. And you could see immediately thereafter the veil of darkness lifted from my eyes. First, there was the light, and then things began to appear within the wings of my vision. I saw the master and his face. I saw my friend Gabriel, who would be my companion in darkness. And the miracle was accomplished. Yes, this master must be the one you said, the Lord himself. Surely he is the Christ. To do such a wondrous thing. Of course, sir, there's no doubt that he is. But it's well to bear in mind the master's own words. According to your faith, be it unto you. That means it is my faith that rests the greater power than your other. You really believe that? Yes. He himself said it, didn't he? Yes, I accept your word that he said it. Well, here is a silver coin to your trouble in telling me this great story. Now I must go. Thank you, that's all. So wouldn't you care to hear more? No, I'd rather go. Here's the coin. Thank you for telling me. Yes, really a very strange man. One moment he was so interested, and the next moment he was in such haste to leave here. What's the matter with him? Is it he? Or you? Anna, you're approaching me. What's for?
Master, now that I've heard you tell the story again, I've come to realize what's happened to you.
What do you mean by that?
That first night when you told it to me, you were a different man. You were humble in the face of the goodness of God. You spoke of the master's kindness, of his voice, his face, his eyes. You were a man possessed of a holy feeling. Now it seems you can only yourself.
Anna.
Yes, you would make yourself great. I'm sorry you ever told me or anyone about this destiny.
Anna, your eyes are wet. You feel about the cross.
My
Oh, hold still, Anna. Let me look into your face.
You won't like what you see there.
Look at me, Anna.
Yes, look.
You are disappointed in me, Anna. You're sorry with me, aren't you?
I blame myself, too. I shouldn't have let you tell me at the master said you finished. His wisdom is great, even as great as his kindness.
Anna, I don't like to have you talk that way. Each word is a reflection on me, on my faith in him.
And why not?
Anna, why do you keep saying things like that?
Because I've just come to realize what has happened to you. You would make this your life's work, telling and retelling this story to gain attention and favor with others. And now you even do it for me.
The silver coin that lies on the floor, I didn't ask for it. The man did it voluntarily. Besides, isn't it right that he should pay me for my trouble? I didn't have to tell him the story.
No, you didn't have to. Nor did you have to say such fine things about your pastor. Once you had humility and reverence. Now you seem to think that you are the important one and the master of his mission.
So that's it, huh?
Yes, that's it. That's why the master forbade you to talk. He knew of the weakness of people who accept the blessings of God and then convey themselves to accomplish those blessings.
Always the master. You didn't even see him. You didn't even hear him. And you keep on speaking as though you knew more of him than I do.
I think one does not have to meet the master face to face to know of his goodness or of his mercy. Master, what has happened to your faith?
I still have my faith in him.
Is that you told that merchant that you played the greater part in the miracle?
But didn't the master say, according to your faith, be it unto you? Didn't he say that?
Oh, master.
What? No. 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 Don't cry. Perhaps I should allow my enthusiasm to run away with me. To become a little lame, a little proud instead of being humble. But a man who's been a beggar can go hungry in class and important. He can be bothered when the chance presents itself.
Oh, you things you said. The way you made yourself more important than the master.
From now on, when I tell the story, I shall give the master due credit. And in addition, the thing I've been promising I will do it. This silver coin, I shall give to Simeon's widow at once.
That would be at least the beginning.
Come on, you will see me do it. You will see the thankfulness of the widow when I give this to her and tell her that this is only the beginning.
Is it to receive her thanks? Did you do it?
Of course not. Come on, see for yourself. The widow and her two children live along this street. I know. Listen to what they say. Are you wondering what she'll say?
No. I was thinking how much food a widow could buy for her children with a whole silver coin.
Yes, there'll be a celebration in that house tonight. Why, I'll wager they've not eaten well since Simeon died in that tragic way.
How is the widow to feed her family well? It's a necessary bread to eat.
Well, from now on, things will be different for them. I promise it, Anna. Yes. Yes, I wonder. So I'll knock upon the door and leave the coin on the doorstep, or I can wait and indicate myself. What do you think, Anna?
The well-doing is not so important. But the time it is done is important.
I know. People see the surprise and delight on their faces, and they will never even know. Look, I'll place the coin here, then I'll knock, and you can hide just to the side of the door. Coin. Now, you raise the move quickly and bring them out. I wonder what she'll say, what she'll think.
I will have come to the door, Martha.
Perhaps you didn't hear my name. I'll like it again. I don't understand. Yes, of course, there's no one home.
That would be strange, right?
This time I won't knock. I'll open the door myself. Come.
It will do you no good to enter there, my friend.
I didn't see you, old man.
No, but I saw you. I watched you from my doorway. I saw you knock like once but several times. I should have come out of my house sooner, but I'm an old man and I move very slowly. You must forgive me.
I understand. But you said it would do no good to enter that house. Why?
So the first reason no one lives there.
Oh, but you're mistaken. This is Simeon's house. Isn't it strange? You stayed every time here. I couldn't see. Isn't this his house?
Yes, Martha. No, good woman. It was his house.
Oh, you mean that Simeon being dead, it's not his house any longer. I know that. But his widow and the children, so they both still live here.
No, Lucy. What did you say? She begged her, and today we could for her, but it was not enough.
For her?
The widow. She struggled along as well as she could, not just and hopeless. When there was not even enough blood to keep the children alive, she did anything she could. She gave up her children. Sometimes better not than even starve away alive. So 3 days ago, she sold them into slavery. Oh, no. Then, in order to stand the strain and the heartbreak, she left her. You know where she went. Oh, I know exactly. Well, you heard she went north to Padua. If someone said she hoped to find work or as a servant in some great household. But it's corn. It could buy much food. A week ago, that corn could have meant life itself to the poor woman. Now it's too late. The woman is gone, the children slaves. So, take back your coin and thank you for your kindness. Kindness. Kindness is not the truth. A week ago, I passed my time telling everyone of the great thing that had happened to me. I boasted, I was proud. Not of something that I had done, but of something God had done for me. Oh, man, that is so right, so right. But that's enough to hurt us back. It's a thing about the vanity of man. Even before you attempted to describe your humility,
My faith had only become obscured by my brother. My desire to gain justice, importance for myself.
Of all the things of which men boast, how many would be possible without the blessings of God?
None. What had I been mindful of that a week ago? That poor woman and her children would still have been together as one son. Well, Anna, they will be together.
Martin?
I will set out now for Tiberius. I will find that woman no matter how long it takes. I will find those children. So I must work the rest of my life. I will buy their freedom. Our vanity has done. And how good I could have done. Had I only been humble as the master asked me. Oh, Anna, believe me, I shall make up for this. With the help of God. This program was brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Next week on this same network at this time, we will present The Tree and the Fruit, a drama inspired by the 6th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Luke. Another episode in the greatest story ever told from the greatest life ever lived. This is the ABC Radio Network.
The biblical story of Ezekiel the prophet. Our story begins almost 6 centuries before the birth of our Lord. The mighty legions of Babylon had invaded Judea, and conquering all in its path, swept on to lay siege to Jerusalem, last stronghold of Judea. As the Babylonian enemy lay encamped outside the gates of Jerusalem, Joachim, the king of the Israelites, rose up in council.
It's enough! It's enough! Aye, more than enough. Enough of death and destruction. We've fought and lost. Let us now humbly submit to the yoke of bondage. Wait, my words meet with your disapproval, that I know. Yet must I remind you, I am your king, and the words I have spoken...
Are unworthy of a king. You admit defeat.
Aye, 'tis true, I admit defeat. Call me, therefore, if you will, an unworthy king. But know you that I love my people beyond all else. To fight is to die. To surrender is to live. It is my command that you accept defeat and live. The kindness bitter to the taste, and all I have left to give.
And so was Jerusalem surrendered into the hands of the invaders. And it came to pass that Joachim was taken prisoner and sent as an exile to the tower of Tel Aviv, near the river Chobar. Then to the vanquished children of Israel, who had not already fled the city, there came a fearsome proclamation.
Hear ye this decree of His Majesty, King of Babylon. All the families of Judea shall assemble before the appointed scribes, and from the rank of each certain member shall be selected to spend the remainder of their lives in exile.
Your name?
Ezekiel, son of Buzi.
Ezekiel, son of Buzi. What strange names these Israelites have. Tell me, Israelite, what means the name Ezekiel?
Strength in the Lord.
So, strength in the Lord. And do you possess that which your name signifies?
I do.
Strength enough to worship him in a distant land?
Yes.
Then go. Worship him in Tel Abib, in exile. You'll leave with the caravan tonight. Next. Your name?
Buzi, the priest of the temple.
Priest, eh? Well, we shall have need of priests. A great need. You will remain here in Jerusalem.
But, Your Excellency...
Yes?
My son, Ezekiel...
What of him?
He goes to Tel Abib by your own decree. May I not go with him?
Heard you not my ruling?
That I did. But I beg you reconsider. He's all I have. And I'm old. The years are heavy upon me.
Then, old man, rejoice, for I spare you the pain of a long and weary journey. You will remain here in Jerusalem.
And my son, Ezekiel...
goes on to Tel Abib. Next, your name.
And so were the sheep scattered, families ruthlessly torn asunder by the merciless command of cruel men, and Ezekiel forced to leave Jerusalem and denied the companionship of his aged father, clung to his faith and found his strength in God. Then in time he took unto himself a wife, and in that blessed union found happiness and joy. And it came to pass that one day as he sat in the doorway of his home, his wife spoke to him.
Why are you so sad, Ezekiel?
What makes you think so, my dear?
I know your mood. This evening your mind is far away and you are unhappy. What troubles you, Ezekiel?
It is the sadness that is always with us. We are children of Israel. Many thousands of us are captives here in Babylon, and others are scattered throughout Egypt and Assyria. The poor remnants of our people left at home have no strength either in numbers or leadership to form a strong nation.
Why should you worry about an entire nation when life for us here in Babylon is very pleasant? Why not forget the past?
No, my wife. Only as we remember the past shall we remain faithful to our mission as the Lord's chosen people. Day after day I remind myself that I am a consecrated priest of the one true God. I am a priest forever, even though I am exiled from the altar at which I may offer sacrifice. I must keep the memory of that altar alive in my own heart, that I may instill love for it in the hearts of others.
You are far wiser in such things than I. But for the moment, forget your sadness. Let me see you smile. Ah, that is better. Now I shall leave you while I go to prepare supper. I'll call you when it is ready.
Yes, she is truly dear. Yet even she cannot know the desolation of my spirit. How I sit here day after day looking across the waters of the river Kobar. And always it is the Jordan back home that I see. Beyond the Jordan among the mountains, Jerusalem, as I saw it last, the day the armies of Babylon took us away. The temple rose majestic above all the buildings, and it seemed to me wherever my body might be taken, my heart would always remain there in the temple, before the Lord's altar. A whirlwind, and a great cloud, a cloud of fire. In the midst of the fire, 4 living creatures, each with 4 faces and 4 wings, supporting the throne of the Most High. Now they are still, with folded wings. All is silent. This is a moment out of all my time, when I wait for some great thing to happen to me. I am not on earth nor in heaven, but in some place of waiting between the two. O Lord of hosts, I am frightened. I fall upon my face.
Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak to thee.
I obey. I stand upon my feet.
I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious people that hath revolted from me. They and their fathers have transgressed my covenant even unto this day. And thou shalt say to them, Thus saith the Lord.
And later, as Ezekiel told his wife of the vision, can it be in such a manner that prophets are called?
Perhaps you were only a little faint because you had not eaten.
No. The illusions born of faintness have the unreal quality of dreams. I am certain this was not an illusion. I stood in Jerusalem. I saw it as it was when we left it. I saw the temple, the palace of the king, and the shops of the dealers. I even saw the house where we used to live.
Oh, how wonderful it would be to live there again.
I moved about the familiar streets and heard people talking. I know that I was seeing the city exactly as it was and witnessing events that were happening at that moment. But when I tried to speak to someone I knew, I realized that he could not hear or see me.
Oh, how I wish I could have been with you.
What I saw then will grieve you. The city gate was barred, and the great Babylonian army was laying siege to the city. As I looked, the walls fell before them.
Oh, no, no.
I could hear on all sides angelic choirs praising the Lord and proclaiming the rightness and justice of all his ways. For another, I had seen as God must see all the evil of the city. My mind seemed no longer bound by the limits of my own experience. It seemed to have become like the minds of those higher beings who sang the Lord's praises as they watched what I was seeing. Unmoved, I knew that the city must be humbled and destroyed, that a faithful city might rise on its ruins, and that someday exiles from all the countries would return to our homeland to take the place of those unworthy ones who had died.
But Ezekiel, if many people died, were they all bad people? The little children, the mothers.
The Lord's wisdom, that is so much greater than ours, allowed this destruction. Those who died passed not only to his eternal justice, but to his infinite mercy as well. Perhaps they would not have had it otherwise. Remember this too.
Yes, beloved. But tell me what you saw in Jerusalem.
I saw many of our people who had turned away from the Most High. They worshipped strange images and ceremonies of wild abandon. And near the temple, a boy approaches a priest.
Oh, tell me, priest of Israel, what does the Lord Most High require of me?
What did you say?
I beg you tell me how I can know and serve the Lord.
Who are you?
I am Jonathan, the son of Ema. I haven't much money. I can't make him expensive sacrifices. But what I know of him makes me feel that I love him and would serve him. What can I do?
Pay your tithes to the temple.
That we have always done. And from my childhood I have kept the law. But how can I draw near to him in spirit? How can I...
Go your way. You've had all the time I can give you. I must return to my studies. Go.
Oh, this was my vision of Jerusalem, my dear, today. When judgment has come upon her, because her people have forsaken God.
Was there no more?
Why should you think there was more?
You're keeping something from me. You've not told me quite all the Lord revealed to you.
There was one more thing, but it concerned myself alone.
All that concerns you concerns me. Tell me.
The Lord warned me that my dearest possession should be taken from me. But he comforted me for its loss and told me I must not mourn in public and weep for it in the manner of our people.
Your dearest possession? What could that be?
Think no more of it, beloved. I should not have told you. Now I must go and summon the elders among us and give them the Lord's message.
Ezekiel spoke to the elders, and then with footsteps lagging, his heart bleeding, he returned to his humble home.
Grief-stricken and yet forbidden the comfort of her tears, he tenderly greeted his wife.
My own. Treasure of my life.
My husband.
Oh, 'tis good to be home again, to have you once more by my side.
Here shall I always be, my dear, forever and ever, even unto death.
Aye. Even unto death. No.
Ezekiel.
'Tis nothing. The weariness of my body overcomes me. I speak words, know not what I say.
You're ill, Ezekiel. Your face is pale. Your eyes are strangely sad.
'Tis nothing. Nothing. Come, sit you here. Let us talk of days gone by. Of our happy life together.
Ezekiel, has something happened? You talk so strangely. Why?
Oh, my dear. My sweetest treasure. 'Tis nothing. Nothing.
Something has happened. Something's gone wrong. Tell me. Tell me quickly. What is it?
It is but the reflection of my weariness, you see. Naught else. But come, tell me of your day. You went to the village as you planned?
No, I remained instead working all day in the garden. Already the buds are beginning to appear, and soon with the coming of the sun's warm rays, soon shall we see blossoms.
Yes, my dear. Soon shall we see blossoms.
How strange. Suddenly my eyes have become heavy. I am weary. So very weary. Perhaps the anxiety of waiting for you. The warmth of the fire. I must sleep.
No.
Forgive me, my dear. I shall close my eyes for a moment. Barely a moment.
Aye. Barely a moment. Sleep, my dearest one. May God grant you peace. Oh, my God. My God. Thy will is done.
And some months later, there came a day when Ezekiel again rose in the congregation of the captives.
My beloved people, I have news from Jerusalem. I shall let the stranger tell it. He arrived at my house last night, weary and almost starving. He is Jonathan, the son of Emma.
Oh, yes, I remember him. What is the news, John?
Jerusalem is in ruins. It has been completely destroyed.
Huh?
The temple, too. Nothing is left. Nothing. All the territory the Lord gave our father Abraham has fallen to the foe.
Lord, why hast thou dealt so with thy people? God, why hast thou forsaken us?
Did I not warn you all this would happen to Jerusalem, unless the people repented of their evil ways? Did I not tell you it had happened on the day after it occurred?
He did, I remember it well. Yes, you're right. Ezekiel warned us of all this, though at the time I did not believe him. Ezekiel is a true prophet.
Then listen to my words. The Lord does not act without justice and great mercy. We have not given to him a love and obedience that is his due. Turn from your evil ways. We exiles are the hope of Israel now. Let us make ourselves worthy of our mission, that Israel may live anew.
And so Ezekiel continued to give the Lord's message to the captives. And the word of his prophecy spread, and crowds came to hear him speak. Then came a day when he sat alone in his home. Thoughts of his wife filled his mind.
This house that once echoed to the sound of us singing, empty now and silent. she were here today, she would know my sadness and ask the cause. I would not know how to tell her of my secret grief. How can one share with another his burden of secret grief? Even those of the priestly tribe of Levi listen to my words as they might listen to a popular song and forget them as quickly. The Lord's priesthood. The shepherds to whom he has entrusted the welfare of his flock. Jonathan's story of his visit to the temple and his talk with one of the temple priests. How dared any priest so scorn a young soul's hunger for God? O Lord Most High, grant that those who serve you may be worthy of their calling.
Son of man, prophesy concerning the shepherds of Israel. Woe to those shepherds! The weak they have not strengthened. That which was sick they have not healed. Neither have they sought that which was lost. My sheep were scattered because there was no shepherd, and they became the prey of all the beasts of the field.
Yes, great Lord, but be merciful to thy sheep, and send them true shepherds.
Therefore you shall say to the shepherds of Israel, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I myself shall seek my sheep, and shall visit them. I will seek that which was lost, and I will strengthen that which was weak. I will save my flock, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them.
A good shepherd, who would defend the sheep even at the cost of his own life. A true shepherd, the perfect priest and leader. Oh, the Lord be praised. For when he comes, truly he will restore the glory of the people of Israel. Blessed be thou, O Lord Most High, who hast comforted my heart with this great promise.
In the 25th year of the captivity, Ezekiel uttered what was to be his final prophecy to the congregation of the exiles. He described to them in detail the new temple that would arise on the ruins of the old temple that had been destroyed, a holy place sanctified by the abiding presence of the Lord of hosts. He finished speaking and returned home.
"'Tis just here," she said, when I told her of that first vision of the destruction of Jerusalem. How filled her eyes were with wonder and with pity. I wish I could tell her now of the new temple, and of the great shepherd who will bring healing and hope to his people. She had such faith in the Lord's promises.
What are you mumbling about, Sir Prophet?
How did you get in here?
Never mind how I got here. Here I am.
What do you want?
You promised that you'll stop leading the people astray. Our people could rise to power and wealth if they accepted the gods and the customs of Babylon.
I remember your face now. I've seen you among our people.
Yes, I too was an Israelite. But I'm too sensible to sacrifice all the good things in life for a vanished dream. Jerusalem has fallen. The temple is gone. Where is the God of Israel now? Call down the wrath of your God to consume me, if you will.
I might better beg him to pity you, my misguided friend. Pity for a soul that has lost its loyalties, for a heart in which there is no secret shrine.
Has no vision shown you your own fate unless you stop preaching to the people?
I shall listen to the voice of the Lord God. When he commands me to prophesy, I shall obey him.
Is this the only answer you'll give me?
It is the only answer I can give you. O Son of Israel, turn you from your folly and evil before it is too late.
All the wealth of Babylon is too small a reward for the loss of your God.
I didn't come here to listen to more of your preaching. I came to offer you a choice. Either you promise to stop preaching, or your lips shall be sealed forever.
Priests and prophets have often paid with their lives for their loyalty to God. But beware of his punishment.
See, I've drawn my sword, and your Lord God did not strike me as I lifted it. Look upon it, Ezekiel. Unless you promise. Why do you smile?
Because you think I fear death.
You do not fear it?
All that is dear to me is in a world whose gates that sword will open to me. O Lord of hosts, guard your sheep until the day when the great shepherd shall come. O Lord of all, be mindful of your people. O God, whose immeasurable mercy I have sensed in my visions, have pity on this unworthy son of Israel.
Enough!
My prayer is finished. O Lord of hosts, guard your sheep until the day when the great shepherd shall come. And so with this prayer on his lips, the prophet Ezekiel died for his loyalty to God.
Demands its rights in the name of freedom, forgetting that, as Lincoln once said, sheep and wolves never agree on the definition of freedom. The Christian solution is to get behind neither capital or labor exclusively, but to be behind capital when Marxian socialism would destroy private property, and to be behind labor when monopolistic capitalism would claim the priority of profits over the rights of a just wage. If we are behind either capital or labor, at what point will either of them stop in their demands? Or is there a stopping point? Did capital ever decide for itself, when it was in the saddle, that it would take no more than 10% profits? The fact is, capital took all the profits the traffic would bear. And now that capital is unseated and labor is riding the economic horse, what limits does labor set itself? Is there a wage beyond which it will not ask? Are there certain minimum hours below which it will not seek to work? They, too, are trying to get all the traffic will bear. When self-interest and class interest become the standard, then who shall say which is right and wrong? As the old Chinese proverb put it, no good rat will injure the grain near its hole. And this brings us to a consideration of the economic and political principle of the Christian order. The Christian order starts with man. All other orders start with class. Capitalism and communism, for example, though they are opposite in their directions, like branches of a tree, are nevertheless rooted in the same economic principle, namely that class takes all. Communism is really only rotted capitalism. Under capitalism, the employer takes all. Under Marxian socialism, the employee takes all. But the Christian economic order, as we said, starts with man. Incidentally, next Sunday we will show the repercussions of this doctrine on the family. Now, the basic principle of the Christian order is this. Economic activity is not the end of human life, but the servant of human life. Therefore, the true primary end of economic production is not profit, but the satisfaction of human needs. In other words, Christianity says production exists primarily for consumption and only secondarily for profits. Christianity demands a revolutionary change of the economic order because it affirms the primacy of the human over the economic. Its starting principle is that the right of a man to a living wage is prior to the right of a return on investments. Now, from this basic principle of the Christian economic order, 7 conclusions follow, and they constitute the Christian charter on economics. First, when an industry is unable to pay a wage sufficient not only for a moderately comfortable life, but also for savings, the difference should be made up either by industry pooling a percentage of all wages paid, or in default of this, by the state. Second, neither the capitalist's right to profit nor the laborer's right to organization are absolute and unlimited. They are both subject to the common good, and both can be suspended for the common good. Both the right to profits and the right to organization are only means. And as means, they are to be judged by the way they promote the true ends of life, namely religion, general prosperity, peace, and happy human relations. Third, the consumer must not be treated as the indispensable condition of unlimited demands by labor or unlimited profits by capital, but as the person whose interest is the true end of the whole economic process. Fourth, the distinction between capital and labor, which has its basis presently in whether one buys or sells it, must be broken down. And it must give way to a union of capital and labor on the basis of a common service which both of them render to the nation. To ask which is more important, capital or labor, is like asking which is the more important to a man, the right leg or the left. Since both of them have a common function, they should function together. Fifth, the wage contract should, whenever possible, be modified by a contract of partnership between employer and employee, so that wage earners are made sharers in some way in the profits or management or ownership of industry. Since both produce social wealth, there is no reason why both should not share in the wealth which is produced. A worker in a factory has more rights to the profits of industry than a man who merely clips coupons. The only way to make labor responsible is to give it some capital to defend. And the only way to make capital responsible is to make it labor for the right of possession. Did you ever hear of an artist agitating for a 5-hour day? Why not? Because his work is his life. Today men do not work. They only have employment. There is a difference between work and employment. Work is a divine vocation. Employment is an economic necessity. A laborer will sit on someone else's tools, but no artist will sit down on his own paintbrushes. The reason is the artist's work entails responsibility. That is why those who are getting behind either capitalists to defend them against labor racketeers, or behind labor to defend them against economic royalists, are delaying the day of economic peace and contributing to the present economic conflict. The Christian solution is to unite them both on the basis of a common task. And sixth, democracy should be extended and not curtailed. For many decades, political power was controlled to a great extent by organized capital, by merchants and lords of finance, and by industrialists. Today, the stage is being prepared for the control of political power by labor. A class transmission of power by either capital or labor is opposed to the basic principle of democracy. The Christian concept of politics is that government exists for the common good of all. If democracy is to be made effective, the holders of economic power, whomsoever they be, whether they be capital or labor, must be made responsible to the community. They are its servants, not its masters. And seventh, and finally, since the best of economic plans will fail unless selfishness is eradicated, and since this is impossible without religion, we ask the Jews and the Protestants and the Catholics to prepare for a new economic order by spending a holy hour a day in prayer and meditation. And the Catholics, including in this holy hour, daily Mass and Holy Communion. A prayer book for wartime, entitled The Shield of Faith, to assist in making this hour, will be gladly sent free to anyone who asks for it. Returning now to our theme, instead of the present order which says, what do I get out of this? Men will ask in the Christian order, what service can I render to my country? Freedom, fellowship, and service. These are the principles of a Christian social order derived from the basic principle that man is a creature of God, destined after a life of free service to enjoy eternal fellowship with divine love. And in order to build up this new world, we must begin thinking in a new way. Just as totalitarianism will not and cannot be defeated by thinking in the same grooves which led to it, so neither can the selfishness, the egotism, and the class conflicts of our social order be conquered by patching up the principles which produced it. Why is it so important to start with an entirely new set of principles and a new standard of values? Because if we do not, we will end only by shifting power and booty and loot from one class to another, instead of working for the good of all. This war, thank heavens, is the end of the economic man. And by the economic man, I mean the man whose basic principle was the primacy of profit. But unless we accept Christian principles based on the primacy of person and the common good, we will see a new kind of man, the enthronement of the political man. This is where irreligious revolutions, such as Marxian socialism and Nazism, end. In the substitution of the acquisitiveness of power for the acquisitiveness of money. And the political man, whose God is power, can be just as lustful, just as avaricious, as the economic man whose God is money. The decent human person has little to choose between the two. And either we will restore this Christian order based on the dignity of the human person, or we will shift from a regime dictated by economics to a regime dictated by politics. This war, and let us not mistake it, is an expression of a world disease. It will avail us not to give this old order in which we live artificial respiration, for we are giving it to a corpse. Let us wear no widow's weeds of mourning because our superstitions are being carried to the grave. Rather should we be putting on our wedding garments to court a new world and a new order in a renewed divine justice. If the old order of politicians, who promise to the electorate everything it wants, from pillaging the treasury to new tires and more sugar, is dead, then God be thanked. Let it perish. If the old world of capitalism, which thinks that property rights means the right to accumulate profits uncontrolled by the common good and the rights of organized labor, if this order is dead, God be thanked. Let it perish. If the old order of labor organizations, which thinks that there is no minimum to hours of work and no maximum to salary demands, and which would paralyze a national industry for 5 days because it refused to pay a 5-cent transportation fee, if that kind of world is dead, God be thanked. Let it perish. If the old world, where a college education was a social necessity instead of being what it ought to be, an intellectual privilege, is dead, God be thanked. Let it perish. For when our boys come home from the battlefronts of the world, they will share none of these old ideas. Every one of these boys will want a job, and they will have a right to that job whether they belong to a union or not. And there is not a single one of these boys who will admit that the indispensable condition of working is that he belongs to a union. Every one of them will want a just wage and the right to raise a family in comfort and decency. And they will not admit that these personal and family rights are subject to and conditioned upon bondholders receiving 6% interest on their investments. Every one of the boys that are in the armed forces today will have lived through a day when capital ruled and also when labor ruled. And because they are fighting for neither while they are at war, they will not stand for the domination of either in peace. They will fill up a great vacuum in our economic and political life, for they will fight for the common good, in which the uncommon man of capital and the common man of organized labor will both be subject to the resurrection of justice under God. And with God on the side of these boys, who shall stand against them? O Lord Jesus Christ, who in thy mercy heareth the prayers of sinners, pour forth, we beseech thee, all grace and blessing upon our country and its citizens. We pray in particular for the President, for our Congress, for all our soldiers, for all who defend us in ships, whether on the seas or in the skies, for all who are suffering the hardships of war. We pray for all who are in peril or in danger. bring us all after the troubles of this life into the haven of peace, and reunite us all together forever, O dear Lord, in thy glorious heavenly kingdom.
The address you have just heard was entitled The Christian Social Order, and was delivered by the Right Reverend Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen of the Catholic University of America. This was the 6th in Monsignor Sheen's series of 17 addresses on the crises in Christendom. A copy of today's talk, as well as the booklet referred to by Monsignor Sheen, The Shield of Faith, may be obtained by writing to the National Council of Catholic Men, Washington, D.C., or to the station to which you are now listening. There's been a delay in the distribution of the booklets, The Shield of Faith, but we're happy to say that the copies will begin to go into the mail during the coming week. The Catholic Hour will close with the hymn, O Mother Dear Jerusalem. Next Sunday at this time, Monsignor Sheen will deliver another address in this series entitled The Christian Order and the Family. Your announcer is John Patrick Costello. The Catholic Hour has been presented by the National Broadcasting Company and the independent radio stations associated with the NBC network. in cooperation with the National Council of Catholic Men. The program came to you from New York. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
This is the Hour of St. Francis, featuring Patrick McGeehan as Jim Powers in his own story, which might also be yours.
I'm waiting for my wife at this restaurant that's halfway between her house and mine. 3 years ago, a judge told us, "You're not married anymore." That's why I have to make a date to see my own wife. Well, we asked for it, Lucille and I. We killed our love by our infidelities. No, there wasn't any triangle. We did it the slow way. I want to tell you just how we did it because Lucille and I stand for thousands of other couples. We started out like most of them. Dance, date, more dates. Kisses in the moonlight, here comes the bride, and our honeymoon is going to last forever, sweetheart. It lasted 5 months, until we moved into our own house. I started to hang a picture in the living room. It was one I'd picked out myself. A fleet of fishing boats with red sails coming into a harbor.
Oh, Jim. Jim, darling, that picture belongs in the hall.
In the hall? Sweetheart, this is a living room picture.
But it doesn't match a thing in the living room.
Oh, that's all right. It's nice for a contrast.
Sticks out like a sore thumb.
It does not. This is a good picture.
What's good about it?
I like it.
Oh, Jim, you sound just like a child. I'm not going to have that thing in my living room.
It's my living room, too. If you don't have this picture here, what are you going to have?
The one I bought, the ballet dancers.
Oh, I hate ballet dancers.
I hate fishing boats. I won't have them in my living room.
This is my...
All right. All right, go ahead. Be selfish and spoil the looks of the whole room. My feelings don't matter.
Oh, now who's acting childish? Nobody's spoiling anything.
It's my fault, I suppose. It's my fault that you have no taste, you're stubborn, and you won't listen to reason.
Look, stop yelling and give me one good reason why I can't hang this picture in the living room.
Because I don't want it there.
I said a reason.
All right. Hang it in the living room. Fill the whole house with your old shrimp boats. I don't care.
We never did hang either the shrimp boats or the ballet dancers. Both our pictures ended up in the hall closet, buried like a lot of our dreams. Lucille and I nursed our hurt feelings into our first act of infidelity. We went back on our promise to take each other, Jim and Lucille, for better or worse, with our bad points as well as our good ones. For richer, for poorer. We promised that, too. But when I don't get any richer, we drift into another kind of infidelity.
What do you mean, where does the money go? What money?
The money I give you every week, my whole paycheck, except for car fare and lunch money. That ought to be enough for rent and groceries and everything.
Would be if we lived in a tenement and ate nothing but bread and water.
Lucille, what's the idea of telling Elaine Miller you can't bear to go to the fashion show?
I merely told her the truth. On the salary you're making, I can't afford a new hanky.
Lucille, will you please quit whining about Bill Morris getting that promotion? He's been with the firm 3 months longer than I have.
And he's got brains and some get-up-and-go about him.
And he's got a wife who knows how to save money instead of throwing it away in the junk the way you do. Well, see what we were doing? Breaking our word to be satisfied, whether we had more money or less. We started with finance, then we got personal. And we don't keep it to ourselves. There's always the friend of Lucille's and the friend of mine who keeps us posted on each other's sniping in public.
Where's Jim? Oh, he came to the party, but he's probably asleep under a potted palm someplace. That's all he does at home, fall asleep in the chair until it's time to go to bed. He should get a job demonstrating mattresses.
the only business he'll ever make a success of.
You ladies don't mean you want to run my wife for president of the garden club. Oh, you see, that's the joke of the season. Lucille's got as much executive ability as a white rabbit. And when it comes to handling money, she can't add a column of zeros and get the right answer. To love and to honor. We started breaking that promise every day. Love doesn't live for long after you've killed respect. Things quiet down a little just before we have the baby, my son Jimmy. Then he just serves as more ammunition for the battle. We fight about everything from his formula to the college he's going to. Jimmy's about 8 months old when I get what looks like a break. A chance to work late a couple of nights a week and pile up a lot of overtime. But Lucille and I managed to spoil that, too.
I called your office 3 times last night and nobody answered. Thought you told me you were working late.
Oh, maybe I stepped out for some coffee.
It takes a whole hour to drink 1 cup of coffee.
Lucille, why do you keep asking me where I was last night? You know I worked late Tuesdays.
I drove by your office on the way home from the club meeting, and there wasn't a light in the place.
You can't... All right. So maybe I worked down in the basement.
You're getting paid for this overtime, aren't you? I never see any of those checks.
You see my regular paycheck every week? That ought to be enough. I could have explained everything in 2 minutes, but I wouldn't. Why not? Oh, just to be stubborn. You see, I'd planned a surprise, and I was not going to let her spoil it. Then one night I came home around 10 to find her waiting at the door.
We're going to have this out right now. Where have you been?
So you don't believe I've been working overtime?
There's no one in that building the night you say you're working. How dumb do you think I am? Well, whoever she is, she's welcome to you.
She? Lucille, is that what you've been thinking?
What do you expect?
You thought I was unfaithful.
If that's what you want to call it.
I don't know why I should tell you this now. You've been down to the office. You should know the switchboard closes at 6 p.m. No calls in or out. The room I'm working in is in the back, and you can't see any lights from the street. And here's the reason why I didn't give you the checks.
What are these? Receipts from a jewelry store.
I'd almost finished paying on a ring for you.
Oh, Jim, I'm sorry.
Well, it's a little late for that.
Well, why didn't you tell me all this before? You let me sit here and worry night after night. You just did it to be mean. You don't care anything about my feelings.
You're the one who's been unfaithful. You wouldn't trust me.
That's right. Go ahead and blame me. That's all you've ever done. Well, you listen to me, Jim Powers. I'm not going to stand for any more of your abuse.
Well, I'm fed up, too. This does it.
All right, if that's the way you feel about it. You can get your money back on that ring you were going to buy. And here's your wedding ring, too.
If that's the way you want it.
That's the way I want it.
After that, we think there's just one thing to do. In no time at all, we're sitting in the courtroom and the judge is saying, divorce granted. It's all over just like that. I don't feel anything. I'm numb inside. Then, as I start visiting Jimmy every other weekend, and I see Lucille for 5 minutes at that time, the numbness wears off. I feel a slow ache, like a bad tooth getting worse and worse. I tried to get rid of the ache by digging up all the reasons why we had to get a divorce. I end by coming to the conclusion that Lucille and I had wrecked our whole future by breaking faith in so many little things that we finished by doubting we loved each other at all. I have 3 years of trying to live without a good reason. Then my luck changes, which means that God feels sorry for one of the biggest fools who ever breathed. He fixes things so my car breaks down one morning, and I have to ride a bus to work. I take a couple of drinks to fortify myself, as I'm getting in the habit of doing. On the bus, I sit next to a lady who sniffs and gives me a dirty look. She has an even dirtier look to throw at a fellow who gets on at the next stop. He's really loaded. Hey, buddy. You better sit down here.
Thanks, Mac. Hey, will you tell me when we get to Anaconda?
Where?
Anaconda Street.
Oh.
Where Anaconda School is. I gotta go see my little girl.
Hey, mister, you better wait until Saturday. You can't see her during school hours.
Oh, it's the only time I can see her. She talks to me through the fence. My wife left me. She took my little girl.
Oh, look, why don't you go visit her where she lives now?
Oh, my wife won't let me see my little girl no more. Says now I drink too much.
Well, she could be right.
I can see my little girl.
Oh, how perfectly disgusting. He should be arrested for drunkenness.
Lady, don't be too hard on him, please. Maybe he didn't drink before his wife left him.
Of course, you'd stick up for him. You're drunk, too.
The bus comes to a stop, and I get off fast. I keep seeing the drunk. It could be me, Jim Powers, a couple of years from now, talking to my boy through a fence. I know I can't go on the way I am, and I don't know what to do. I start walking, trying to think. I pass by a church, and the thought strikes me that it's been quite a long time since I've been inside a church. So, I go inside this one. I try to tell God how badly I need an answer. Then the idea comes to me that Lucille and I would still be together if we had asked God to help us be faithful to those promises that are too tough for just ordinary human beings to handle alone. When I come out of the church, I call up my wife.
Oh, Jim, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Fine.
How's Jimmy?
Oh, he's fine.
Lucille.
Yes?
Lucille, I'd kind of like to talk to you.
What about?
Oh, a lot of things. Look, will you have dinner with me tonight?
Well, all right, Jim.
That's how I happen to be keeping a date with my wife. We're trying to start all over again, and it's slow. Because we buried our love so deep, it's a long time coming up out of the grave. We're not afraid of each other now. We're afraid to trust ourselves. Maybe that's a good sign. It means we finally learned that the only way we can keep faith with each other is to put our trust in God.
Unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generation. The eternal light.
The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, This program is brought to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Our story today, The Fiddle, written by Arnold Pearl, is adapted from the short story of the same name by Sholem Aleichem. Featured as Sholem is Ronnie Liss.
Listen, I'll sing you something. What is this? Can you tell me? Listen, please. Da 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 dum dum da da da. What is it? A melody. Yes, what kind of a melody? Yes, it's sung on the Sabbath Eve. It's chanted over the Sabbath cup just before the wine is sipped, just before the Sabbath meal. But is that all? Listen again. Listen. Ta 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 ta. I must tell you. I want to tell you. It is what we call a nigun, a folk melody, a melody which haunts you, as it haunts me every Friday night. There's always something new in it, something you never heard before. This kind of melody. You see, when I was, 6, I'm 16 now. When I was 6, my father would say,
"Now, quiet. Quiet, please. I'll recite the blessing over the wine."
Papa, could I mean, if...
You want to, Sholem?
Could I? Oh, Papa.
Yes, my son.
Then, you see, I would sing the melody, and I would be allowed to drink the sweet wine. You understand, there's always something new in such a melody. Something you never heard before. That is what got me started on it. A melody song is a melody, of course. And a nigun song is a nigun song. But when your heart is 12 years old, sometimes there are times when it cannot hold all the love you have for the world. Have you ever felt this way? This was how I felt when I heard it the first time on a fiddle. A real fiddle. You see what I mean? It's obvious. Can a heart which is only 12 contain such a melody? Such feelings? Impossible. Ever since I was 6, then, if I saw a musician or a musical instrument, I would run over to him and look at him. I would touch his hands, and if he would let me, blow a note or pluck a string. I admit it. I was in love with all the musicians in the world, with all the instruments, with all the music, but above all with my melody, my nigun, and the fiddle. Naturally, therefore, this would happen in the Cheder, in school.
And now we will turn to the 103rd Psalm. You will read, please, Sholem.
The left hand must be held just so, and the bow stroked just so. Then the fiddle's tone will be pure.
The 103rd Psalm, Sholem.
The pizzicato on the fiddle must be, just so.
Sholem.
And the bow must glide gently, never harshly over the strings. So.
Sholem, what are you doing?
What?
Is this a Cheder? Is this a school, or where are you?
I was practicing the fiddle.
Fiddle? Fiddle? What fiddle?
This fiddle. Oh, you see, I haven't got a real fiddle, so
Enough. stand and read the 103rd Psalm. And the next time you play a fiddle in Cheder, a fiddle especially you do not have, Sholem, what would your papa say?
Papa would have said plenty. For Papa was so nice on Friday nights. Days, Papa was a businessman. And fiddles? Well, I'll tell you about that later. But he wouldn't have liked it. Still, what could I do? I must fiddle. I must have a fiddle. So I became friendly with the fiddler in the town band. Shaky the fiddler. A worthless man, but a fiddler.
Why do you ask me this, Sholem?
I have my reasons, Shaky. Tell me, just tell me.
I'm a fiddler. What do I know of a boy's heart? I'll tell you. First, a fiddle is a bow.
Yes, and what's a bow?
Horse's hairs. Horse's hairs drawn tight into a bow.
I'll write that down. Horse's hairs drawn tight into a bow.
Then, rosin.
What's rosin?
Rosin. Rosin from a tree. You've seen rosin. To rub on the bow.
Oh, rosin to rub on the bow. Fine. Rosin to rub on the bow.
And the fiddle itself is made of cedar wood.
A tree?
That's right. A tree.
But where do you get cedar wood?
The best?
Of course the best.
From Palestine. The cedars of Lebanon.
It's far away, Palestine?
Aye. You need a cedar of Lebanon?
Could I get one?
Please.
No. Huh?
Why do you ask me all this, huh?
Why? Will my father buy me a fiddle?
He won't.
Naturally not. He's a businessman.
Oh.
So I'm going to... You won't tell anyone?
Of course not. Who talks to me, anyhow?
I'm going to make myself a fiddle.
No.
Oh, I am. You'll see. I must. I have to. Horse's hairs, rosin, cedar wood. I will. The horsehair was easy. I went to Yodel the teamster.
I never heard of such a thing.
Yodel, did you ever hear of sweet wine?
Am I a fool? I'm a teamster.
What do you think is in this jug?
Here, let me smell. Sweet wine.
Don't you think you could find me some horse's hairs?
I think so. From the mane or the tail?
I didn't ask. Which is better?
Better? What are you talking about?
I should have asked. I'll try the tail. It's longer. Yes, from the tail. The tail.
How many do you want?
Would 25 be too much?
25? For that jug, Shuller, my friend, I'll give you 125.
It's the best rosin in the whole country.
Of course. Yehudi, would you play with poor rosin?
So?
So look at this knife. Let me show you how it cuts a hair.
It's a nice knife.
Give me the rosin. It's yours. Now, the cedar wood. This was more difficult. But in my house, we had a sofa. It was my grandmother's sofa. And although my Uncle Ezra said it should rightfully belong to him, that the sofa was his, we had the sofa in our house. Anyway, the back of the sofa and the legs and the arms, they were, what luck, cedar wood. So one evening, my mother was out, my father was asleep. I tiptoed in, and with a knife I got. It was a very old sofa, believe me, and peeling and the upholstery worn out, believe me. I started to pick off the cedar wood. I would pick a piece, and then pause and listen. Good. Papa was still sleeping. So I would pick off another piece, and listen, and another, and another, and when I had almost enough...
Show him.
Yes, Papa?
What are you doing?
Oh, nothing, Papa. I...
Picking the wood off the sofa?
Go back to sleep, Papa.
What are you doing?
I'm making a fiddle, Papa.
Save me. The heavens will please send me forgiveness for what I am thinking. A fiddle? Why?
Because I want a fiddle. I want to be a fiddler.
You could have said a writer. That I could stand. I would go to an early grave, but I could have stood it. Or an actor, maybe. Even that I might have survived. But a fiddler? Like Shika the fiddler, maybe?
Shika's a nice man, Papa.
I am a businessman. You are the oldest son of a businessman. It is in your blood to be a businessman. My boy, if it ever got out to the people of the town that you wanted to be a fiddler, can you imagine what it could do to our business? To your business?
What, Papa?
What, he asked. What? We would be ruined.
We would?
I'll never mention it again. You never mention it again. Only Sholem.
Yes, Papa?
No more fiddles. We understand each other?
Yes, Papa.
And I'll tell Mama the wood peeled off the sofa. Now go to bed. A fiddler.
But as I grow, the desire grew. Can I help it? It happened. In Shul, the school, I learned that Rabbi Akiba, the great teacher, went to his death singing in his heart. All trials he accepted with great love. I, too, tried to accept mine also with great love. But at 13, who can be a Rabbi Akiba? Especially when on the way to the shul where I was studying, I had to pass Naphtali's shack. You don't know about Naphtali's shack? I will tell you. Naphtali is a beggar. Worse than a beggar. A musician. And worse than an ordinary musician. A musician with 12 children. Each of whom is also a musician. And each of them every day plays his instrument in the shack they live in. And I would stand outside and listen. That is David, the oldest. The French horn. The flute is Hannah, the oldest girl. Mendel, the drummer, age 6. Shalamith on the cello. She's 8. And Penny, Skinny Penny, who played the fiddle, my favorite. So each day, 10 minutes, no more, I would stand outside the shack and listen. If it wasn't music to you, to me it was the angels. Listen. Now you understand about Naphtali's shack. And then one day as I stood listening...
Why do you stand outside?
Which one are you?
Penny. Skinny Penny.
The fiddle. Hello. You mean I could come inside?
Of course. It sounds much better inside anyhow. And it's much warmer.
And inside I met the father, Naphtali. Oh, if Shika was a fiddler, what can I say about Naphtali?
So, you wish to play the fiddle?
I would like to try.
One plays the fiddle or one listens. One does not try.
If I could play, I would be so happy.
Well, you shall learn. Can you pay?
I don't think I... No.
Well, it's harder without money. I teach better for money. Still, what have you got in that bag?
Lunch.
Better than money. Are you hungry?
No, I'm not. Would you like some?
For music? We would accept some.
Oh, take it, please, take it. And before I could say another word, they were at it. David and Hannah and Shalamith and Skinny Penny and the others. And in a few moments, there weren't even any crumbs left.
A little wine would be fine. Still, now to the music lesson. First, a lecture.
Should I sit down?
Sit, stand, only listen. The fiddle. The fiddle is the oldest and the greatest of all instruments. The first fiddle was, of course, Methuselah. This they didn't teach you in Cheda, I know. Still, Methuselah was the first. The second was King David. That you knew. The third was Paganini. You never heard of him?
No.
A pity. Still, he was the third. And the fourth, myself. Now the lecture is over. Take the instrument.
I took it. I moved the bow. He pulled his hair. He stopped me. He showed me. I started over. This time the face was not so bad. And so it went. I studied the fiddle. I was in heaven. I came once a week and studied in heaven until... Until Klutz said,
"Your papa wants to see you."
Every town has its Klutz. Klutz had a nose in everybody's pot, a busybody. And everything he saw, he told. And how he loved it. He must have seen me going to the shack so often, he must have gone and told Papa. Oh, why do people do such things? Oh, am I a philosopher also? He did it.
He wants to see you right now, Shalom.
You just left him?
That's right.
What did you tell him?
Why don't you go in and find out?
You wanted to see me, Papa?
Shalom, my boy. Sit down, sit down.
Oh, yes, Papa. Here?
Anywhere, my boy, anywhere. Now, you're 14 going on 15, yes, my son?
Yes, Papa.
So it's time you thought of going into business, huh?
Yes, Papa.
So, every Thursday I've arranged you'll go to shul in the morning, and in the afternoon you'll come to study here with me in the business.
Oh, that'll be nice, Papa.
I knew you'd like that.
I like it very much, Papa.
Then, when you're 16, my son will be a businessman.
Is that all, Papa? I've got to go back to my studying.
That's all, my son. Oh, yes.
Yes, Papa.
Klutz was in. Guess what he tried to tell me?
What, Papa?
That you were hanging around Naphtali's shack. Hanging around with that Skinny Penny, the fiddler. Of course, I laughed at him.
Naturally, Papa.
I told him you were going into business. You wouldn't have any time for music. That's right, Sholem, isn't it?
Naturally, Papa. I'm a serious young man.
Of course. There will be no fiddling around?
Fiddling, Papa? Oh, naturally not.
Good, good. So run along, my son. And remember, no fiddling around.
It was obvious I couldn't go back to the shack. Still, when a niggling and a fiddle is in your heart, you don't get over it so easily just because your papa says no fiddling around. Anyhow, I couldn't. Only I couldn't go to the shack. To tell you the truth, I resisted thinking about it. When I heard a fiddle, by accident, mind you, I put my fingers into my ears. And then I had to meet the colonel. We called him the colonel, not that he was, because he always wore a uniform with gold buttons. Where he got it, no one knew, but he looked like a colonel in it. He was an enormous man with such a laugh, he sounded like the laughter you hear sometimes in music. And the stories he told.
India. I'll now tell you about India.
For an hour about India. Or else...
You've never been to South America or the North Pole? Listen, and I'll tell you.
Or else about rubies.
Once I found a ruby, as large as a hen's egg and so rare, a queen gave me half a kingdom for it. And pearls. I found 2 pearls once.
He could talk about anything. And one day when he heard that I was going into business with my father, and therefore was no longer a child, he spoke to me directly. Do you understand? The colonel actually spoke to me in person.
My boy, why don't you come to visit my house?
The next time I could, which was on the Thursday morning when I was supposed to be in shul. You remember what my father said? Thursday morning in the shul and Thursday afternoon learning the business. Well, that morning I went to the colonel's house. It was safe because the colonel lived on the outskirts of town, just past the shul. So if I started out in the direction of the shul, all I had to do was keep walking. You understand. I knocked, opened the door, and walked in.
My friend, come in.
Hello, Colonel.
Some of these things surprise you, huh?
A little.
This is the lion's head. I killed him in Africa.
I see.
And these horns from a water buffalo in Asia, the fiercest fight I ever had. Do you know what this is?
What?
Siberian owl. I captured it barehanded.
And that?
A leopard. Would you like some plums?
You have plums?
Cold, fresh, and ripe. Help yourself.
Oh, Colonel.
Tell me, Shalom. Do you like music?
Yes.
And the fiddle?
Do you play the fiddle?
There were 4 great fiddlers. Methuselah, King David, Paganini, and the Colonel. Eat your plum, and I will play for you.
I didn't dare eat. I didn't dare breathe. I didn't dare hope. And then... It was my melody, my nigun, my song of the night of the Kiddush, of the blessing before the wine, of the lovely words, praised art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who hast sanctified us with thy commandments, and hast taken pleasure in us. And he let me come every Thursday. And every Thursday I came. Until that one Thursday, when coming home from the colonel's, who do I meet? The busybody, of course.
Hello, Shalom.
Klutz.
Where have you been?
To shul. Where else?
All morning?
Well, of course, all morning.
And what were you studying? All morning?
What should I be studying? The Gemara.
Which part of the Gemara?
Well, I got to go to my father's. I got to study business this afternoon.
I think I'll go see your father, too.
Klutz.
It's for your good, Shalom. For your good. Why do people misunderstand me so much? Why? Can you tell me, Shalom? Can you?
The scene with my father. Why go into it? Let me tell you simply, I became a businessman. The colonel, I never went to his house again. If I passed him on the street and he so much as winked at me, I walked to the other side of the street. After all, did you want me to break my father's heart? I became a businessman. So at night, sometimes, I dream I'm a conductor. And in the orchestra is Shaiki the fiddler, Naphtali and his 12 children, with Skinny Penny playing first violin, and the colonel also playing the fiddle, on the right, and I am conducting. And I conduct not with a baton, but with a bow. And then, in the middle of the concert, we reach the part where my nagun comes in. My melody. The blessing over the wine cup before the Sabbath meal. And then I take up a fiddle, and with my baton I play the solo, the melody, the music which you can never hear enough of, because there's always something new in it. The nagun. After all, Rabbi Akiba went to his death singing in his heart and taught us to accept great trials with great love. So you see, I never think about the fiddle anymore.
Our Eternal Light story today, The Fiddle, written by Arnold Pearl, was adapted from the short story of the same name by Sholem Aleichem. Featured as Sholem was Ronnie Liss. The violin solos were played by Sylvan Schulman. The music is composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Catons. The liturgical introduction was sung by cantor Robert H. Siegel. The entire production is under the direction of Frank Pam. For a free copy of today's script, write to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. This program is a weekly presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations in cooperation with the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
In Psalm 63, David said, "My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips, when I remember thee upon my bed, and meditate on thee in the night watches." To help you focus your thoughts upon God at the close of this day, we bring you this devotional meditation from Morning and Evening by Charles Haddon Spurgeon, the great English preacher of the 19th century. This evening's meditation comes from Exodus chapter 3 and verse 7. I know their sorrows. The child is cheered as he sings, "This my Father knows." And shall not we be comforted as we discern that our dear friend and tender soul husband knows all about us? He is the physician, and if he knows all, there is no need that the patient should know. Hush, thou silly fluttering heart, prying, peeping, and suspecting. What thou knowest not now, thou shalt know hereafter. And meanwhile Jesus, the beloved physician, knows thy soul in adversities. Why need the patient analyze all the medicine or estimate all the symptoms? This is the physician's work, not mine. It is my business to trust, and his to prescribe. If he shall write his prescription in uncouth characters which I cannot read, I will not be uneasy on that account, but rely on his unfailing skill to make all plain in the result, however mysterious in the working. He is the master, and his knowledge is to serve us instead of our own. We are to obey, not to judge. The servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. Shall the architect explain his plans to every hodman on the works? If he knows his own intent, is it not enough? vessel on the wheel cannot guess to what pattern it shall be conformed. But if the potter understands his art, what matters the ignorance of the clay? My Lord must not be cross-questioned any more by one so ignorant as I am. He is the head. All understanding centers there. What judgment has the arm? What comprehension has the foot? All the power to know lies in the head. Why should the member have a brain of its own, when the head fulfills for it every intellectual office? Here, then, must the believer rest his comfort in sickness, not that he himself can see the end, but that Jesus knows all. Sweet Lord, be Thou forever eye and soul and head for us, and let us be content to know only what Thou choosest to reveal. This meditation was taken from Morning and Evening by C.H. Spurgeon. Please listen each evening at this same time for Morning and Evening.